No single person in all of human history has had a deeper, wider, or more lasting impact on civilization than a carpenter's son born in a small town in the Middle East over 2,000 years ago. He never wrote a book. He never held political office. He never led an army. He lived to roughly 33 years old. And yet, everything, our calendar, our laws, our art, our hospitals, our concept of human dignity, was shaped by him. This is the story of Jesus of Nazareth. According to historical and biblical accounts, Jesus was born around 4 BC in Bethlehem, in the Roman province of Judea, present-day Palestine. His mother was Mary, and his legal father was Joseph, a carpenter. The story of his birth, a stable, a star, shepherds and wise men, is arguably the most retold story in human history, celebrated by over 2 billion people every single year. He grew up in Nazareth, a small, unremarkable town in Galilee. By all accounts, he worked alongside Joseph as a carpenter. The Gospels give us just one glimpse of his childhood. At age 12, he wandered off from his family during a pilgrimage to Jerusalem and was found days later in the temple, debating scripture with religious scholars who were astonished by his understanding. Even as a kid, he wasn't ordinary. Virtually nothing is recorded about his teenage years and early adulthood, a period historians call the hidden years. He simply lived, worked, and waited. Around age 30, Jesus began his public ministry. He was baptized by John the Baptist in the Jordan River, and from that moment, everything changed. He gathered a group of 12 disciples, ordinary fishermen, tax collectors, working men, and began traveling, teaching, healing, and upending the religious and social order of his time. His teachings were radical. Love your enemies. Turn the other cheek. The meek shall inherit the earth. Forgive not 7 times, but 70 times 7. At a time when Roman power was absolute and the poor were invisible, Jesus told people that every human life had infinite worth. He ate with outcasts, touched lepers, spoke to women as equals, and defended the condemned. Every single thing he did was a challenge to the status quo. According to the Gospels, he performed miracles, healing the sick, giving sight to the blind, feeding thousands with a handful of bread and fish, and raising the dead. Whether taken literally or symbolically, these stories have resonated with billions of people across 2 millennia. His greatest sermon, the Sermon on the Mount, delivered on a hillside in Galilee, laid out a vision of human society built on mercy, humility, and love. Scholars, philosophers, and world leaders still quote it today. The impact of Jesus on human civilization is simply without parallel. Christianity, the religion built on his life and teachings, is the largest in the world with over 2.4 billion followers across every continent. But his influence reaches far beyond the church. Western law is deeply rooted in Christian ethics. The concept of universal human rights, the idea that every person has inherent dignity regardless of race, class, or gender, flows directly from his teachings. The first hospitals in Europe were built by Christians following his example of caring for the sick. Universities, art, music, architecture, the Gothic cathedrals, Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel, Bach's cantatas, Handel's Messiah, all of it was inspired by him. Even the way we measure time was reorganized around his birth, BC and AD, before Christ and Anno Domini. Non-Christian thinkers, Gandhi, Tolstoy, Martin Luther King Jr., drew heavily from his teachings on nonviolence, justice, and love. You don't have to be a believer to recognize that this man fundamentally altered the course of human history. Around 30 AD, Jesus entered Jerusalem to enormous crowds waving palm branches. Within days, he had been betrayed by one of his own disciples, Judas Iscariot, arrested by Roman authorities, and put on trial before the Roman governor Pontius Pilate. Pilate found no fault in him but, bowing to public pressure, sentenced him to death. He was crucified, nailed to a wooden cross on a hill called Golgotha, outside Jerusalem. He died that afternoon. For his followers, it was a devastating, world-ending moment. 3 days later, according to Christian belief, he rose from the dead, the resurrection, appearing to his disciples and hundreds of others before ascending to heaven. This event, the central claim of Christianity, is what transformed a small group of devastated followers into a movement that would eventually spread across the entire globe. Historians confirm the crucifixion as a documented historical event. The resurrection remains, of course, a matter of faith, the most debated and most defining miracle claim in human history. 2,000 years later, his words are still read aloud in every corner of the earth, in thousands of languages, by billions of people. Cathedrals were built in his name. Wars were fought in his name. Hospitals, schools, and charities run in his name. And for countless people across history and today, his story is not just history, it's the most personal thing in the world. Whether you approach him as a historical figure, a moral philosopher, a prophet, or the Son of God, one thing is undeniable: no one else has ever shaped human civilization quite like the carpenter from Nazareth. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Who do you want to see next?